I'm coming in hot off a nap, opened up my YouTube just to see what was going on. And the video that I posted a couple of, I guess a few hours ago, had a lot of comments in it. For those who are curious, this is the video right up here if you'd like to watch it. And in that video, I was talking about a TikTok couple that I came across that just like did a light analysis on them and how what the husband was doing to his wife is a death by 1,000 cuts. And I noticed that there was a lot of people in the comments that were like, Shayna, I don't see it. Shayna, I think that this is a little bit of a stretch. Shayna, I think this is a reach for this one. And to that, I would like to share this analogy. There is a couple. Let's just say, for the sake of this argument, it is a heteronormative couple. There's a man and a woman, right? So all starts out fine. It's cute. It's lovely. They get married, and then let's say they're an adventurous couple. They like going on hikes and doing rock climbing and rope stuff, like climbing up ropes and whatever. And so, the guy is comfortable now. He's fully married. And there's an exercise where somebody hangs down a rope and then the other person is holding it and then somebody has to climb up the rope. Now, this was a thing that they've done multiple times before. But now, as she's climbing up the rope, he starts wiggling it as she's on it. And let's say that it's about 20 feet in the air. He's wiggling it. He's not letting go of it. He's just wiggling it. And she's like, I don't really like that. But he's laughing. It's a joke to him. It's funny to him. Not quite so funny to her, but she's like, oh, I was scared, so haha. And then that keeps happening. And she starts to develop a little bit of a jump whenever he's going to hold on to the rope. Now, he never lets go of it, but he always jokes. And like, sometimes he lets the rope slip a little bit, just to be like, oop, almost got you that time, didn't you? He doesn't let her fall, but the scare is still there. The damage is still being done. And then it starts to make its way into little things in the day-to-day, right? So she already has like this little bit of a jump, and he finds it amusing. It's not detrimental to her. Sometimes they joke about it, how like she's kind of like a little cat sometimes, And so they're in the house, and sometimes whenever she's going up the stairs, he'll like jump behind her or like jump on the stairs or make a loud crash. And she's like, oh my God, stop. It's not, oh my God, you're so crazy. And he's like, I got you that time. And then that keeps happening. So now it's not just out of the house, but it's also in the house. And she's technically not in danger. And she's technically laughing, but damage is still being done. And then as these little bits of damage are being done, he starts making little comments, like comments about her eyelashes, like in here, like, oh my gosh, like I have great eyelashes. And like women just don't. Like, I don't know what's up with y'all, but like you just really don't have good eyelashes. Or like in this video when he was talking about how she has like 5 million things under her eyes. And he's like, wow, I really thought that like we were done, but oh, she's adding another layer. And I guess it's nasty. Like she probably needs it. Okay, she's adding another layer. All right. Wow, there's a lot of stuff under her eyes. And he's saying that to her. And it all just kind of continues. And then one day, hypothetically, years down the line, she says, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to, maybe not fully divorce, but I'm going to separate. I'm going to take some time to myself to try and figure out what's going on with my body, with my mind, with my spirit. And so she spends a month somewhere else by herself. And then she starts to realize something. And let's say that the month that she takes is somewhere out in the woods because, she, even before him, she loved being in the outdoors. So she would go rock climbing by herself. She's good at it. It's something that she's always loved to do. She's like, okay, I'm going to try and clear my head. I'm going to go rock climbing. So she goes, she ties the knots. She does all the things so that way she could start climbing up. But now she's scared to climb up this rope. And she doesn't understand why. She knows that she knows how to tie these knots. She knows that she knows how to free climb. She knows that she knows all these things, but my God, why am I so scared of this rope? So she says, okay, you know what? Enough of that for today. I'll cross that bridge tomorrow. I'm just going to go back to the apartment, just going to go back to the whatever place that I'm staying at. And I'm just going to try and decompress. I'm going to make something really nice. I'm going to just kind of like go up to the second floor and have a nice little, just kind of snuggle in, go to bed. And she goes, she makes herself a nice little meal. She gets herself a little glass of wine. She's like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm in my comfy, cozy things. I'm going to go upstairs, watch, I don't know, Scandal, right? So she's getting ready to walk up the stairs, and then she jumps. She's like, oh my God. And then she's like, wait, I'm in the house by myself. There shouldn't be a reason for me to be scared. Why am I scared of these stairs? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna think about that tomorrow. So then she closes that. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna pin it, and I'm gonna think about that tomorrow. The next day comes around, and she's like, all right, it's a new day. I'm gonna try my best to tackle the rock climbing thing that I tried to do yesterday. She's getting ready to leave the house. She's by herself, and she's like, I should probably put some mascara on. I should probably put on some concealer too. She's by herself. And at some point she has to ask herself, why do I have these reactions? And what do these reactions make me feel about myself? Where did all this come from? It might not seem insidious, but imagine what you saw in that video manifesting itself on a day-to-day basis, in little ways, in company, in mixed company, by yourself, around your kids. And then one day you look in the mirror and you are covered in scars. Some of them are not even scars. A lot of them are still actively bleeding. And you're like, oh my God, where'd all this come from? When did this happen to me? Where does all of this stem from? If you are used to getting picked at on a daily basis in ways that some people think are fun or jovial, but is it fun for you? The comments that he was making about her, if that was directed towards you, something that you worked really hard for, if you were the person who made that video, if you were the person that spent all this time trying to build up your social media platform, and you were like, hey, I'm trying to bring my partner into something intimate that I have built for myself, and I think it'd be a fun, cute thing for us to maybe do together. And then that's how they talked about you. But maybe it's probably not even the first time that they've talked about it. Talked in this way to you. And it took a lot of new eyes to look at this and say, I think you're covered in a million tiny cuts, but you're used to bleeding through your shirts. But you're used to feeling a little sticky when you sit down or touch stuff, you know? And you go, this is a little bit too much. I'm going to save this for another day. Or maybe that other day does not come. I'm just saying that it doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be roaring thunder. It doesn't have to be a hurricane. It doesn't have to be a natural disaster's worth of pain that comes your way. Sometimes it's the little things. It's the little things. And if you talk to people who have left, they'll say, yeah, it's the big things. But I noticed it in the little things too. Retrospectively, they'll say it was the little things too. Now in this story, sure, she could go and realize, oh my goodness, I am getting hurt in little ways consistently in this relationship. I'm not going to go back. She could have that realization. She could also go back for whatever reason. She could say, you know what? I love him and I'm comfortable living in a Band-Aid. You know what? Sure, I've spoken to him about this before, but he's a man. He doesn't get it. He's just a baby. Whatever it is, right? But either way, some people stay and some people don't. And all I want us to do is have a conversation about what it is. So that way, if we happen to be in a situation where we feel a nick consistently, we know what it is. That is all. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that sexy stuff. And I'm going to go continue my nap. I know I said that I'm done, but I'm not. I have another thought that's important to this video. One of my community members, I think their name is childfree, a couple of numbers, made a very important point that I was also confused about. But then in my half sleep delirium, I typed something out that I was like, oop, I need to explain this more. Where they basically said that it was surprising how many women and femmes in the comments were defending this guy's actions, the way that he talks and treats his wife, and that it was very concerning. And I basically said, a lot of people's families talk to them like this. A lot of people's friends talk to them like this. So it's going to be hard to differentiate between what are the words of somebody that what are kind words from somebody that you love and who cares for you, when your fundamentals in that your non-romantic relationships are built on communication that sabotages, undermines, and belittles you. For example, I come from, both of my parents are Caribbean. And with that, listen, I love my culture, I love my food. But the backhanded compliments are rife, are ripe, are pungent, and are all abundant in the community and the culture. And Caribbean people get creative with it too. Like, they will call you so far outside your name that somehow you are back within your name. And I am very grateful that my mom did not raise me or my brother in that kind of home environment. And so when I would go and hang out with family or with other Caribbean people or Caribbean American people, first gen, second gen, whatever, and I would notice the way that they were talking to each other, the way that wives were talking to husbands, husbands were talking to wives, sisters were talking to sisters, brothers, siblings were talking to siblings. I was like, ooh, do y'all like each other? And at first the answer was like, oh my gosh, yeah, of course, da 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 da. But then you pull them aside and a side conversation was like, are you what they said was kind of mean. How do you feel about that? And then the truth comes out in the side conversations. And I think that a lot of people are so used to trying to living in a dirty house. I think a lot of people are used to living in a dirty house, and then they have told themselves that every house must be dirty, that every house is in chaos, that every family talks to family members like this, that every husband talks to wives like this. And it's not the case. But a lot of people, because that's the environment because they were raised, not in like an actual dirty house, you're picking up what I'm putting down, but because they were raised in that kind of environment and spoken to in that kind of way so consistently throughout their lives, their childhood, throughout their intimate moments, it's going to be hard to differentiate between how this man in the video that's up here is being intentionally mean in small, quote unquote, ways to his wife. How is that different than how my mother treats me? How is that different than how my dad has always spoken to my mom? Is there a difference? Might not be a difference, but in having that realization, it creates a fundamental crack in the way that people encounter their families, in the way that people encounter their friends. Because if he's being mean, then what if my family's being mean? Then what if my friends are being mean? If he's being mean and I'm consistently around people that talk like him, what if I've never spoken to somebody who was nice to me before? And that's a big question for Elmo sometimes. And why am I lightly, the more that I talk about it, not surprised that this is a thing that came up with a lot of women and femmes in the comments section? The way that people talk to little girls has never been okay. We have been objectified so aggressively from the time that we were young. We have been segmented into our parts and had all of these parts of ourselves scrutinized in ways that we have just ingested as normal. Especially if you're if you're a feminine little girl, femme of color, right? The hypersexualization of little Black girls is a prime example. So if you've grown up being hypersexualized, then you don't know that don't necessarily know you're being hypersexualized. You just think that this is childhood. And then one day you go out and people are treating you as just a person and not hypersexualizing you. And you go, wait a minute, this feels different. And then you have to come to terms with, oh my gosh, the way that I've been treated up until this point has been a problem. The way that people have been talking to me and about me up until this point has been a problem. And then the great shift occurs, ideally. But anyway, diving back to the original point of this section, basically a lot of people think, hey, he's not physically hurting me, it's not punching, kicking, stealing my bank account, making objective chaos, then it's fine. Then it's fine. Shanda, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. And the fact that a lot of people think this way is further evidence to me of how so many people, regardless of age range, regardless of generation, feel like he has to do something so monumental for it to be justified for me to leave. So many people feel like, oh, if he hasn't done something big enough, then then why do I feel like I don't have enough reason to leave? It's part of the decentering, man. It's part of you don't have to have your world on fire to say, you know what, I think I'm gonna leave the house. Your house does not have to be on fire for you to want to leave the house, for it to be a big enough problem for you to say, I'm done. Now listen, I get it. This lady, the lady up here, she's only known this man for maybe a year. Arguably, she does not know this man, and now she is a wife to a problem and a stepmom, which puts all the pieces together, you know? Nothing wrong with being a stepmom, but being a stepmom to a stranger, being a wife to a stranger. Yeah, not for Sheena, not for this girl, two thumbs. But now that we've had more parts of this conversation, please share your thoughts in the comment section, and I will talk to you later. Bye.